You put someone else's baby inside me? Amina's voice echoed off the sterile walls of the hospital conference room. 3 doctors sat across from her, their faces gray with panic. Without my permission, without my knowledge. Dr. Kwan, the clinic director, couldn't meet her eyes. It was an administrative error. Your patient file was switched with another client's. During what should have been a routine examination, you received an embryo transfer meant for a gestational surrogate. Whose embryo? The silence stretched too long. Whose embryo? Choi Sang-woo, CEO of Chosun Bio, one of the wealthiest men in Korea, and Miss Nwosu, when he finds out what we've done, I cannot guarantee your safety. Amina was a virgin. 23 years old, working 3 part-time jobs to send money home to Enugu, and she had never been with a man, not once, not ever. And now she was pregnant. Staring at the pregnancy test and wondering why, her mind raced backward through the past 2 months, searching desperately for an explanation that didn't exist. Her phone buzzed. A text from the Samsung Medical Center where she'd gone 6 weeks ago for the free health screening required by her student visa. Miss Nwosu, please contact us immediately regarding your recent visit. Urgent matter. Do not ignore this message. Amina's hands shook as she dialed the number. A woman answered on the first ring, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. Miss Nwosu, thank God, you need to come to the hospital right now. There's been a serious incident involving your file. What kind of incident? The line went silent for 3 seconds too long. Please come in person. We cannot discuss this over the phone. Ask for Dr. Kwan in the administrative wing, immediately. The call ended. Amina stared at her phone, then at the pregnancy test still sitting in the sink, and felt her entire world tilt sideways. 2 hours later, she sat across from Dr. Kwan, a thin man in his 50s whose face had gone gray when she'd walked through his office door. Behind him stood a younger woman in an expensive suit, a lawyer probably, and another older man whose hospital badge identified him as the chief medical officer. Miss Nwosu, Dr. Kwan began, his voice carefully measured, on October 15th, you came to our fertility clinic for what you believed was a routine gynecological examination. Is that correct? Yes. It was required for my visa renewal. During that visit, there was a catastrophic administrative error. He paused, choosing his words with surgical precision. Your patient file was accidentally switched with another client's file. As a result, you received a medical procedure that was not intended for you. Amina's stomach dropped. What procedure? The lawyer stepped forward. Miss Nwosu, you were mistakenly given an embryo transfer. A fertilized embryo was implanted into your uterus. You are now carrying a pregnancy that resulted from our clinic's negligence. The room spun. Amina gripped the arms of her chair. You put someone else's baby inside me without my consent. It was an unforgivable error, the chief medical officer said quickly. The technician responsible has been terminated. We are prepared to offer you immediate termination of the pregnancy with full medical support, plus substantial financial compensation, 500 million won. Who? Amina's voice came out as a rasp. Whose embryo is it? Dr. Kwan and the lawyer exchanged glances. The client's identity is protected by... I don't care about your privacy laws. You violated my body. You put something inside me without permission. That's assault. I deserve to know whose genetic material is growing inside me right now, or I walk out of here and go straight to every news outlet in Seoul. The threat hung in the air. Finally, Dr. Kwan spoke. The embryo belongs to Choi Sang-woo. The name meant nothing to Amina. She said so. Choi Sang-woo is the CEO of Chosun Bio, one of Korea's largest pharmaceutical companies. He's also the heir to the Chosun Group conglomerate. His family controls shipping, construction, and biotech across Asia. His personal net worth is estimated at 800 billion won. So he's rich. That doesn't give him the right to... He's also infertile due to childhood cancer treatment, the lawyer interrupted. This embryo was created using his sperm that was frozen before his cancer therapy, and a donor egg. It was his last viable chance at biological children. The embryo was meant for a contracted gestational carrier who had signed away all parental rights. That carrier was supposed to be in this room 6 weeks ago. Instead, due to a filing error, you were brought in. Amina felt dizzy. Does he know? Does this Choi Sang-woo know what happened? Not yet, but he will. He receives weekly updates on his surrogacy case. When he learns the embryo was transferred to the wrong person, he will investigate immediately. We estimate you have perhaps 72 hours before he knows your name and location. Then what happens? Dr. Kwan leaned forward. Miss Nwosu, Choi Sang-woo is not a man who accepts obstacles. His family has connections to every level of Korean society. If he decides he wants this pregnancy controlled, he has the resources to make that happen. Are you threatening me? We're warning you. Take our compensation. Terminate today. Sign a non-disclosure agreement. Walk away safely. Amina stood on shaking legs. I need time to think. You don't have time, the lawyer said sharply. Every hour you delay, I said I need time. Amina grabbed her bag. I'll call you with my decision. She walked out into Seoul's November cold, mind reeling. Pregnant with a stranger's child, a rich stranger who apparently had the power to make problems disappear. She thought of her mother back in Enugu, sick with diabetes, unable to afford insulin. 500 million won could save her mother's life. But it would also mean erasing a life that was growing inside her right now. A life that wasn't supposed to be there, but was. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Miss Nwosu. The voice was male, speaking English with a refined Korean accent. My name is Choi Sang-woo. I believe we need to discuss your pregnancy. Amina stopped walking. People flowed around her on the busy Gangnam sidewalk. How did you already know? I have people monitoring the clinic's activities. When I learned about their error, I made it my priority to find you before they convinced you to terminate. His voice was calm, almost gentle. I'm not calling to threaten you. I'm calling to ask if we can meet, face to face, today. Why would I meet you? Because that child you're carrying is my only chance at biological legacy. Because this situation is complicated and terrifying for both of us. And because you deserve to hear directly from me, not from lawyers and doctors who are more concerned with liability than human beings. Amina's heart hammered. Where? There's a cafe in Samcheongdong called Dalmoon. It's quiet, private. I can be there in 1 hour. Please, Miss Nwosu, one conversation. That's all I ask. She should have said no. Every instinct screamed danger. But something in his voice, exhaustion maybe, or genuine desperation, made her pause. 1 hour. I'm bringing a friend. Bring whoever makes you feel safe. Thank you. The line went dead. Amina called her roommate Jennifer, a fellow Nigerian student studying nursing. They met at the cafe, a traditional hanok building tucked into a quiet neighborhood. Choi Sang-woo was already there, sitting at a corner table. He was younger than Amina expected, maybe 32 or 33, handsome in that polished way wealthy Korean men often were, with sharp features and careful styling, but his eyes carried something unexpected, sadness, deep and consuming. He stood when they approached. Miss Nwosu, thank you for coming. This is my friend Jennifer. She's here as my witness. Of course. Please sit. They sat. An awkward silence stretched. Then Choi Sang-woo spoke. I owe you an apology that words cannot adequately convey. What happened to you was a violation of your body and your trust. No amount of money or explanation will make that right. Then why am I here? Amina asked. Because you're carrying my child, the only biological child I will ever have. And I want to ask if there's any possibility you might consider allowing this pregnancy to continue. Jennifer leaned forward. You want her to be your surrogate? After what your clinic did? No, I want her to be the mother. Choi Sang-woo met Amina's eyes. "I'm not asking for custody or control. I'm asking if we can find a way to co-parent this child. You raise them. You make all the decisions. I simply want to be part of their life, to know them, to support them, and you, financially and otherwise." "Why?" Amina's voice was barely a whisper. "You could force me. You have money and power, and I have cancer." The words fell like stones. "I had leukemia when I was 12. The treatment saved my life but destroyed my fertility. They froze sperm before the therapy, but the doctors told me my chances of having biological children were essentially zero. That embryo inside you represents 15 years of hope. 5 failed IVF attempts with 5 different surrogates, hundreds of millions of ones spent, and countless nights wondering if I would die without leaving any part of myself in this world." He paused, composing himself. "I'm not dying now. The cancer is gone, but I'm infertile, and that embryo is the last one that was viable. If you terminate, I will never have a biological child. That's not your responsibility or your problem, but it's my truth. And I'm asking humbly if you would consider giving this baby a chance, giving me a chance to be a father." Amina felt her throat tighten. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Full financial support. Housing, medical care, education, everything. You retain complete custody and decision-making authority. I have visitation rights only, at times convenient for you. The child knows both parents. After birth, they will be recognized as my legal heir, entitled to inherit my estate. But you are their mother, in every sense that matters. And if I say no, then I will respect your choice. I'll have my lawyers arrange compensation for you, and I will grieve privately, but I won't force you, I won't threaten you. Your body, your choice. Always." Jennifer grabbed Amina's hand under the table. They excused themselves to the bathroom. "This is insane," Jennifer whispered. "You can't trust him." "Maybe. But what if he's telling the truth? He's a rich man who wants something from you. Rich men don't just hand over power." "He said I'd have full custody." "Words are cheap. Legal documents matter. If you're even considering this, you need a lawyer, a good one, and you need every promise in writing." Amina nodded slowly. They returned to the table. "I need 3 days," Amina said. "I need to consult a lawyer and think about this. If you're serious about your offer, have your legal team draft a contract. Include everything you promised. I'll have it reviewed. Then I'll decide." Choi Sang-woo nodded. "That's more than fair. You'll have the contract by tomorrow morning. Miss Nwosu, regardless of your decision, thank you for listening." The contract arrived via courier the next day. 30 pages of Korean and English legal text. Amina took it to a legal aid clinic that served foreign residents. The lawyer, an older woman named Kim Soon-ja, read it carefully, her eyes widening. "This is extraordinary," she said finally. "He's giving you everything. Full custody. Final say on medical, educational, and religious decisions. Monthly support payments of 15 million won. That's about $12,000. A luxury apartment in your name. Complete medical coverage. And upon his death, the child inherits his entire estate with you as executor until they reach adulthood." "What's the catch?" "The only requirements are that you allow him reasonable visitation, keep him informed of the child's health and development, and not relocate outside of Korea without his written consent. You can terminate the agreement at any time for any reason. If you do, you keep the apartment and receive a lump sum of 2 billion won." 2 billion? About $1.6 million. Miss Nwosu, I've never seen a contract this favorable to the mother. Either this man is genuine, or he's setting an elaborate trap I cannot identify. Can I trust it legally? Every clause is enforceable. If he violates any term, you can sue and you would win. But trust is not about legality. That's a question only you can answer. Amina went home and sat in her tiny Goshawan room, staring at the contract. She thought about her mother in Enugu, about the years of struggle ahead as a single mother in a foreign country, about the risk of trusting a man she'd met once, and she thought about the tiny life growing inside her, a life that hadn't asked to be created this way, a life that deserved a chance. She called Choi Sang-woo. "I'll do it. I'll continue the pregnancy, but I have additional conditions." "Name them." "I need money sent immediately to Nigeria for my mother's medical care. 100 million won." "Done. I'll have it wired today. I want a clause that if you ever make me feel unsafe or attempt to manipulate me, I can terminate our agreement immediately and you forfeit all visitation rights permanently." "Agreed. I'll have my lawyers at it." "And I want you to understand something, Mr. Choi. I'm not doing this for your money. I'm doing it because this baby deserves to know their father. But if you betray that trust, if you turn out to be different than you presented yourself, I will take my child and disappear. Money won't stop me." "I understand completely. Thank you, Miss Nwosu. You're giving me a gift I never thought I'd receive." "Don't thank me yet. Thank me if we both survive this arrangement." The next 6 months unfolded in a way Amina never anticipated. Choi Sang-woo kept every promise. The money arrived in Nigeria. Her mother's diabetes came under control. Amina moved into a beautiful apartment in Seoul with space and light and furniture that didn't come from a second-hand store. She quit her part-time jobs and enrolled full-time in a business program at Seoul National University. Choi Sang-woo paid all expenses and never asked for anything in return except updates on the pregnancy. At first, his visits were formal. Once a week, scheduled in advance, carefully brief. They would meet at cafes or parks, discuss the baby's development, and part ways. But slowly, something shifted. At 14 weeks, Amina felt the first flutter of movement. She texted Choi Sang-woo without thinking. "I think I just felt the baby move." He called immediately. "Really? What did it feel like?" "Like a butterfly trapped under my skin." She heard him exhale shakily. "That's my child, moving, alive." "Yes, your child is very much alive and apparently already restless." "Like me. I was a terrible child, never sat still." "Were you?" "My mother says I gave her gray hair by age 35. I climbed everything, broke 3 bones before I turned 10, drove my tutors insane." Amina laughed. "Great. So I'm carrying a future troublemaker." "The best kind of child, the kind who asks why and doesn't accept boundaries." Their conversations grew longer, more personal. At 18 weeks, they discovered the baby's sex. "It's a boy," the ultrasound technician announced. Choi Sang-woo's face transformed. Joy, pure and unguarded, broke through his usual careful control. "A son. I'm having a son." Amina smiled. "Disappointed you're not getting a daughter?" "Terrified I'm getting a son. I have no idea how to raise a boy. What if I mess him up?" "You'll figure it out. We both will." They chose a name together, Jiho. It meant wisdom and goodness in Korean. Amina liked that it was easy to pronounce in English, too. As her belly grew, Choi Sang-woo became more present. He accompanied her to appointments, helped her carry groceries, assembled baby furniture with endearing incompetence. "I think this crib is mocking me," he muttered one evening, surrounded by wooden pieces and incomprehensible instructions. "You run a multi-billion-won company but can't assemble baby furniture?" "I delegate furniture assembly. I've never actually built anything with my hands." "Hand me that screwdriver. I'll show you how we do things in Enugu." Together, they built the crib. And somehow, in that moment of shared incompetence and laughter, they became friends. Amina learned about his childhood, the pressure of being heir to an empire from birth, the loneliness of growing up surrounded by staff instead of family. Choi Sang-woo learned about her father who died when she was 9, about raising her 3 younger siblings while her mother worked multiple jobs, about coming to Korea with nothing but hope and determination. At 28 weeks, Amina asked him something she'd been wondering. "Why aren't you married? I mean, you're wealthy, successful, not terrible looking. Surely, women throw themselves at you." He smiled sadly. After the cancer, after learning I was infertile, I stopped seeing the point. Marriage in my world is about producing heirs, combining family fortunes, building dynasties. I couldn't offer that, so I focused on work and told myself I didn't need personal relationships. That sounds lonely. It was, until now. He looked at her belly. This little one gave me a reason to imagine a future again. At 32 weeks, Choi Sang-woo's mother requested a meeting. She arrived at Amina's apartment in a private car, dressed in Chanel, her expression carefully neutral. "Miss Nwosu, I'm Madam Choi. Please come in." They sat in the living room. Madam Choi studied Amina with intelligent eyes. "My son has told me about your arrangement. I'll be honest, I had reservations initially, but I've watched him over these months. He's happier than I've seen him since before his cancer. You've given him hope. For that, I'm grateful. I'm just doing what feels right." "No, you're doing something extraordinary. You could have terminated and taken the money. Instead, you chose mercy. That speaks to character." She paused. "I want you to know that when this child is born, you will have our family's full support. Not as an outsider, but as Jiho's mother, my grandson's mother." Tears pricked Amina's eyes. "Thank you. I also want you to know that my son cares for you deeply, perhaps more than he realizes. Whatever happens between you two, please be gentle with his heart. It's more fragile than he pretends." After she left, Amina sat with those words. Did Choi Sang-woo care for her beyond gratitude? Did she care for him beyond co-parenting? She didn't know. The boundaries had blurred somewhere between furniture assembly and midnight food cravings and conversations that stretched past midnight. At 37 weeks during a routine checkup, the doctor frowned at the ultrasound. "The baby's heartbeat is irregular, not dangerously so, but I want to monitor you closely. If it worsens, we may need to induce early." Choi Sang-woo, who had accompanied her to the appointment, went pale. "Is he in danger?" "We're being cautious. Miss Nwosu, I want you to come in daily for monitoring. And Mr. Choi, she shouldn't be alone. If something happens suddenly, she needs someone nearby." That night, Choi Sang-woo showed up at her apartment with an overnight bag. "What are you doing?" Amina asked. "Staying here until Jiho is born. The guest room is empty. You need someone close in case of emergency." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. Please, Amina, let me do this." She agreed. Over the next 2 weeks, they fell into an unexpected domesticity. He cooked breakfast while she graded her university papers. She taught him Nigerian jollof rice. They watched terrible Korean dramas and debated baby parenting philosophies. And late one night, when Amina couldn't sleep due to Jiho's acrobatics, they sat together on her couch. "I'm scared," she admitted. "What if something goes wrong during delivery? What if I'm a terrible mother?" "You'll be an extraordinary mother. I've watched you prepare for this. You're strong, intelligent, and more capable than you believe." "What if Jiho asks why his parents aren't together? What do I tell him?" Choi Sang-woo was quiet for a long moment. "Tell him the truth, that he was created by accident, but wanted by choice, that his mother and father chose to put his well-being above convention, that love doesn't always look like fairy tales." "Is that what this is? Love?" He turned to face her. "I don't know what to call what I feel for you, Amina. Gratitude, certainly. Respect, absolutely. But also, something more. Something I'm afraid to name because naming it might change everything, and I don't want to risk what we've built." "I feel it too," she whispered. "Whatever it is." He reached for her hand. Their fingers intertwined. And in that moment, Amina realized the truth she'd been avoiding for months. She'd fallen in love with Choi Sang-woo, not because of his money or status, but because of who he was when those things fell away. Kind, vulnerable, trying desperately to be worthy of fatherhood. At 39 weeks, Amina's water broke at 3 in the morning. Choi Sang-woo drove her to the hospital, holding her hand through contractions, breathing with her like they'd practiced in birthing class. Labor was long and difficult, 16 hours of pain and exhaustion, but when Ji-ho finally emerged, wailing and perfect, Amina forgot everything except the tiny life in her arms. "He's beautiful," she sobbed. The nurse placed Ji-ho on her chest. His eyes, dark and unfocused, seemed to look directly at her. And in that moment, Amina felt a love so fierce it was almost frightening. "Would you like to hold him?" she asked Choi Sang-woo. His hands shook as he took his son. Ji-ho quieted immediately, as if recognizing his father's voice from months of talks through Amina's belly. "Hello, my son," Choi Sang-woo whispered. "I'm your father, and I promise you I will spend every day proving worthy of that title." Tears streamed down his face. Amina had never seen him cry before. Over the next weeks, they figured out parenthood together, sleepless nights and diaper disasters, and the particular terror of a newborn's first fever. Choi Sang-woo moved into the guest room permanently, and somehow it felt right. 1 month after Ji-ho's birth, as they sat together watching their son sleep, Choi Sang-woo spoke. "Amina, I need to tell you something. Something I should have said months ago." Her heart raced. "What? The embryo that was implanted in you, it wasn't an accident." The world stopped. "What do you mean?" "The clinic switched your files." "Deliberately. On my instruction." Amina pulled away from him. "You're saying you did this on purpose?" "Let me explain, please. You violated me. You let me believe it was an error when you orchestrated the whole thing?" "No, listen. I didn't choose you specifically. I never saw your file or knew your name. But I did tell the clinic to find someone, anyone who wouldn't be suspected, someone who would believe it was an accident." Amina stood, rage flooding through her. "Why? Why would you do that?" "Because the original surrogate backed out at the last minute. She took my money and disappeared. I was desperate. The embryo was already thawed, ready for transfer. If we didn't implant it within hours, it would die. My last chance at a child would be gone forever. So I made a terrible choice. I told them to find any patient scheduled that day who matched basic health criteria and transfer the embryo. Tell her it was an accident. Compensate her to terminate or to carry. I didn't care which. I just needed that embryo to survive. You used me. You made me think it was a mistake when this was all manipulation." "At first, yes. But Amina, the moment I met you, everything changed. You weren't supposed to be real. You were supposed to be a transaction, but you were brave and principled, and you challenged me, and I fell in love with you." Don't say that now. It's true. I fell in love with you by the 20th week. By the time Ji-ho was born, I knew I wanted to spend my life with you. Not because you're his mother, but because you're extraordinary. Because you make me want to be better than I am. You lied to me for 9 months. I did. And I'll spend the rest of my life earning your forgiveness if you'll let me. But I won't lie anymore. You deserve the complete truth. I orchestrated the initial implantation. Everything after that, every promise, every moment was real." Amina's hands shook. "I need you to leave. Right now." "Amina, leave. I can't look at you right now." He stood, his face devastated. "I understand. I'll go to a hotel. But please don't keep Ji-ho from me. Whatever you feel about me, he's innocent in this." "I know that. Just go." He left. Amina collapsed on the couch, Ji-ho sleeping peacefully in his bassinet beside her, unaware his parents' world had just exploded. She spent 3 days in a fog of betrayal and rage. Jennifer came over, helped with Ji-ho, let Amina cry and rage and process. On the 4th day, a package arrived. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten letter. "Amina, on this drive is every document related to the clinic conspiracy. Bank transfers, instructions, communications. Everything you need to destroy me legally. Take it to the authorities. Sue me for everything I have. I won't fight you. You deserve justice. But before you decide, watch the video file labeled Truth. It won't excuse what I did, but it might explain it. I love you. I love our son. And I'm sorry. Sang-woo. Amina plugged the USB into her laptop. The video file opened. Choi Sang-woo sat in what looked like his office, speaking directly to the camera. Amina, if you're watching this, you know the truth. I need you to understand the full context. When I was 12 and dying of leukemia, my father visited me in the hospital. He told me that the Choi family line would end with me, that I'd failed my duty to produce an heir. I was 12 years old, bald from chemo, terrified I would die, and my father's concern was family legacy. That moment broke something in me. I survived the cancer, but I grew up believing my only value was producing an heir. When the surrogacy failed, when that embryo was hours from death, I panicked. I made an unforgivable choice. But then I met you, and you taught me that legacy isn't about bloodlines or corporate empires. It's about love, about showing up, about being present. You taught me how to be human again. So yes, I manipulated the situation that brought us together. It was wrong, criminal even. But I will never regret it, because it gave me you and Jiho, the two best things in my life. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway. Because I love you, Amina Nwosu, not as the mother of my child, but as the woman who saved my life by teaching me what life is for. The video ended. Amina sat in silence, tears streaming down her face. She thought about the past 9 months, the conversations, the laughter, the way he'd learned to change diapers and make formula at 3 a.m, the way he looked at Jiho like the baby was a miracle, the way he looked at her like she was home. He'd lied, he'd manipulated, but he'd also shown up, consistently, honestly, after that initial deception. And wasn't that what mattered? Not the mistake, but what came after. She picked up her phone. Sang-woo, it's me. Amina. His voice was raw, like he'd been crying. Did you watch the video? Yes. I understand if you never want to see me again. I'll stay away. But please, let me be part of Jiho's life. I'll take whatever boundaries you set. Come over. Now. What? Come over. We need to talk. Face to face. An hour later, he stood at her door, looking exhausted and terrified. She let him in. I should hate you, she said. What you did was unforgivable. I know, but I can't hate you, and I've spent 4 days trying to figure out why. I think it's because you gave me a choice. When you could have forced me, threatened me, used your power to take Jiho after he was born, you didn't. You gave me all the power and trusted me with your heart. That counts for something. Does it count enough? I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to see if we can build something real from this complicated, messy beginning. If you're willing to be completely honest from now on. No more secrets, no more manipulation, just truth. I swear it. Complete truth, always. Starting now. He took a deep breath. I'm in love with you, Amina. Completely. The thought of losing you terrifies me more than cancer ever did. I want to be with you, not just as Jiho's father, but as your partner, your equal. If you'll have me. I'm in love with you too, and I'm terrified that it's a mistake, that I'm confusing gratitude with love. Then let's take time to figure it out. No pressure, no timelines. Just see where this goes. She stepped closer. Okay, but if you ever lie to me again, I won't. I promise you, Amina. No more lies. She kissed him then, soft and tentative and full of hope. When they pulled apart, Jiho wailed from the bedroom, demanding attention. They laughed, the tension breaking. Together, they went to their son. 6 months later, Choi Sang-woo proposed properly. Not with manipulation or desperation, but with simple honesty. They were at a park watching Jiho attempt to crawl when he took her hand. Marry me. Not because of Jiho, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Because you're my best friend and my partner and the love I never thought I'd find. Amina smiled. Yes, but we're doing this my way. No corporate merger, no society wedding. Just us and the people we love. Whatever you want, as long as you say yes. They married 6 weeks later in a small ceremony at a hanok in Bukchon. Amina wore traditional Nigerian iro and buba in brilliant blue. Choi Sang-woo wore a modern hanbok. Ji-ho, dressed in a tiny hanbok of his own, slept through the entire ceremony. At the reception, Madam Choi approached Amina with tears in her eyes. "Welcome to the family, daughter. You've given my son everything. Purpose, love, joy, thank you. He's given me everything too, including a home in a country that wasn't mine. It's yours now. Korea is your home, and you are ours." As Amina looked around the room at the blend of Nigerian and Korean guests, at her mother, who had flown in from Enugu, at Jennifer dancing with Choi Sang-woo's sister, at her husband holding their son with infinite tenderness, she realized something profound. Sometimes the worst mistakes lead to the greatest blessings. Sometimes violations become invitations to grace. Sometimes love grows from the most impossible soil. She'd come to Seoul alone, poor and desperate. She'd been violated, manipulated, and lied to. But she'd also been given a choice. And she'd chosen mercy over bitterness, hope over fear, love over judgment. And in return, she'd received a family, a future, and a love story that defied every odd. 2 years later, Amina graduated from Seoul National University with honors. Choi Sang-woo held Ji-ho during the ceremony, while their second child, a daughter named Ada, slept in a carrier on his chest. They'd conceived Ada naturally. Doctors baffled, but delighted. Sometimes miracles came in pairs. At the graduation celebration, Amina's mother pulled her aside. "I'm proud of you, NWAM. You took a terrible situation and built something beautiful." "I had help, Mama." "Yes, you found a good man. A man who made mistakes but learned from them. That's rare." Amina looked across the room at Choi Sang-woo, who was showing Ji-ho how to blow bubbles while Ada drooled happily on his shoulder. Her heart swelled. "Yes, Mama, I found a good man. Or maybe he found me. Or maybe we found each other in the chaos and held on. However it happened, I'm grateful, because you're happy, and happiness is the greatest legacy." If this story moved you, if it made you question the line between choice and fate, between violation and redemption, drop a comment below. Share your thoughts. Have you ever experienced something terrible that became something beautiful? Sometimes the stories that challenge us most are the ones we need most. Hit that subscribe button for more stories that explore the complicated truth of being human in a messy world. Because life doesn't follow scripts, and love doesn't follow rules. And sometimes the greatest gifts come wrapped in the most painful packages. Thank you for watching, and tell me, do you want more of these stories? Drop that in the comments section.